Hello, everyone. Today is May 28th, 2025. This is the Kubernetes Data Protection Working Group meeting. Okay, so first, let's look at CPT status. Carl or Prasad?
Yeah, we just met before this meeting. I posted the notes in the Slack channel. Um, Nothing major, which is work in progress. So blog PR feedback was addressed and I think Prasad is looking for the link to the video chat so we could paste it there.
Where
Um,
the blog? I'm sorry, where? This one? Which
yeah,
one? Okay.
yeah, I think that is the,
So they're asking for the video?
no, we want to put it there.
Okay. All right, okay. Did they give a new published date yet?
Prasad, you know?
No, I think this can be published as article instead of release announcement. This is anyways not tied to the release.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
we
Kubernetes
are already, I think we're
version.
already late. It's okay. It's okay. I was just wondering. Okay, so it looks like
Yeah.
there's still some comments going. Okay. That's all
So there
right.
were a few questions I have just
Uh-huh.
answered. I also ping him on Slack
Okay.
if he needs more clarity.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, it's fine. All right. Um,
Then the other thing was you got some feedback from the host part driver PR, which is pending, so I'll address that. Um, then Rakshit and Praveen have a talk at DevConf, so I have
oh, cool.
pasted the link in the Slack.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then we were discussing certificate management and uh, came to the conclusions we leave it to CSI driver to restart the sidecar.
Okay.
So I actually found a third watcher that's implemented in controller runtime itself. We could like potentially use this to like watch for file changes and update. I think like TLS itself also supports reloading and for further digging.
Is there
Uh,
a pattern that sidecar should use?
I think we have something similar to this one.
And what should the sidecar
The
do if
sir,
it detects it?
sir, I think we have something for this in the snapshotter, but maybe we don't need it anymore. I think that's might be for the
and
webhook
webhook.
webhook. We have something like this, I thought, but you can take a look and see if we have something. But I think we removed the webhook,
Yeah,
right? But if
for
you look at the older
VMware.
code, if you look at the older code, we might have something that watches the
Yeah.
So
cert.
the thing is, the sidecar is a container in a pod which is deployed by the CSI driver, right? What is the behavior if we do detect a change? We could only thing we can do in the sidecar is exit the container, right? When what does that do to the pod? Does it get restarted or whatever the deployment is, right? I mean, I'm not sure. So
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what we did for. So we do have something. Maybe you can take a look of the older version of the snapshotter that has the webhook, and we have something similar. Let's see what's the behavior there. Did you take a look?
What's the condition we're trying to resolve? I didn't catch the first part of this.
oh, the certificates get, say, yearly, the certificates get rotated. So what
Okay,
sort of
so
behavior for the sidecar?
you mean if it has an invalid certificate or just when the certificate is rotated?
Right.
I mean the
Does the sidecar
if
itself have to do anything, or is it whoever the external entity which deploys the sidecar responsible?
um I'm not aware that we have like a certificate rotation
So we have
policy.
we have that earlier when we have the validation webhook in snapshotter. We have something. But
Webhooks need
uh,
certificates. Sidecars don't. So I'm
but we
trying to
don't. Yeah, we
understand
don't. Right. We don't
like
have
the
that before. Yeah. So this is kind of new. Like now this is new for this
you're
metadata.
saying that this is a sidecar and it will have a certificate because it has an HTTPS listener.
It's about the external snapshot metadata sidecar. So it has a server which the client connects to, like to obtain change block.
Yeah. Okay. So then we should be providing guidance to the deployer on how to do cert rotation, but ultimately it's the deployer's responsibility to make sure that it happens, right? Because a deployer could choose to just put a ridiculously long certificate in there and never rotate it and call it a day, or they could choose very short certificates and rotate frequently. Like that's a deployment consideration. I think we just need to say like, if you want to rotate the certificate, here's how you should do it, right?
So
Like
we
give
just
an
provide
example or a
some.
playbook.
So we just provide like a sample implementation, right? Because with sidecar, we need to be able to run and test. And then if they want to change it, they can change it to something else.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
I think we should say like
Okay.
this is how the community recommends doing it, but you're free to do it differently if you know better.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we did before with the snapshot or validation webhook. We will have something. But if they don't want to use it, they can do something else.
So at least a documentation note about what should be done. Okay.
Yeah, but we
Well,
also need to have something working, right? Because you want to be able to run tests.
like an example of a best practice that will keep you out of trouble, and then if you want to
Oh,
modify it,
I don't know what is best practice. So, I mean, right now, our initial take was, the deployment is done by the driver, so the driver manages the external life cycle and external configuration, right? So,
wait, you
Oh
mean
yeah, I think I found the PR that added watcher to external snapshot.
Yeah, I think I
It's a
remember
server.
it's like we provide some sample implementation. We have documentation. You can take a look of our documentation. I think it's something like, yeah, we say, hey, you can do it like this, but it's not like everybody have to do it this way, right? But it's a acceptable solution, but maybe, if they have.
wait, I'm just trying to understand the architecture we ended up with because I recall at one point in time there was going to be a common piece that was common to all CSI drivers, and then each CSI driver just had to install their implementation. Did we land on a new
Which
version
one?
where
Sorry, which one you're talking about? Are you talking about the validation, or you're talking about this
I'm talking about
CBT? CBT?
the CBT
Oh, okay.
metadata uh
Certificate thing? Oh,
the rest end point like is that thing a common thing managed by the community and installed as like a community add-on, or is that something that each CSI driver must do separately, such that if you have two CSI drivers, you end up with two copies of this thing? I'm just, you know what I mean?
hmm. Uh,
Oh, it's
Because
per CSI driver, right? There is one sidecar for each CSI driver, and
it's just
like
one
the one.
sidecar, but like, does each sidecar have its own REST listener?
Uh, you mean we create a service for the provisional deployment, and we add that service as an address in the snapshot metadata server.
Okay. I'm not remembering the exact details. So the challenge here is going to be this is something that's new for CSI drivers, right? CSI drivers never had to manage certificates before, and so if they want to implement this CVT feature, and we don't have a common infrastructure that would let like the cluster administrator deal with this, then every single storage vendor is going to have who wants to implement the feature is going to have to get into the certificate management business. And it's going to be a significant burden on every storage vendor, unless we can find a way to like centralize that piece of it. Um, so yeah, this might be a small architectural flaw if we're forcing storage vendors to deal with certificates, um, and not making it easy.
Yeah, but I think it should be like a small part, and there are other solutions out there like Cert Manager, but people could implement their own code to like create certificates and then feed them in. But yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree.
mean,
There's no like, common infrastructure.
there's lots of ways to do it, but I'm saying like just the responsibility of making sure that it happens is something that never used to lay with storage vendors, right? Storage vendors could just push the code out there and say, deployer, you're on your own to deal with this. Now we're going to have a situation where the storage vendor is going to have to be involved with the process of actually making sure that it happens, because it's going to be part of their code. And that's new, and that's a burden. So
Yeah.
we should think about if there's a way that we could centralize that burden to take it off the storage vendors and make it just trivially easy for everyone to just push their code out into the world and have it work.
So we do have options, Ben, in that we could, in the sidecar, in the particular case of this external snapshot metadata sidecar, I'm not generalizing. In this sidecar, we could, run in a parent-child kind of mode, right? And restart the main server when the parent detects a change. So the container doesn't die because the parent is what's launched there. But it just monitors the certificates and restarts when it's done. Aborts ongoing anything and restarts it. Would that be acceptable?
You're saying make it the deployer's responsibility to provide the certificate, and then just say like, hey, whenever you change the certificate, the service will reload it and start using the new one.
Right. I
But
mean,
but
the certificate is mounted somewhere and we could check for the timestamps, right, on the file.
yeah, I mean, there's ways to watch for changes to like a file,
Hmm.
like a certificate file, so that the moment that a new one pops up, the code becomes aware of it and can reread the file and
Right.
start using the new one. I mean, that's stuff that we probably can and should do. But then, yeah, the actual installation of the new cert on whatever schedule
That's not
is going
our
to be.
problem because that's a CSI driver issue. Because deployment is always their issue anyway.
No, but I'm saying it would be better if it was our problem than the CSI drivers, because the CSI drivers are not good at this today. They don't know how to do this. And there's hundreds of them. I don't think there will be hundreds of CVT implementations, but there could be dozens. Um, and the likelihood that every one of them gets this right is pretty low. So it would be better if we solved the problem for everyone, and then they didn't have to do it over and over.
Are there standards in Kubernetes we could reuse?
So Ben, I'm not sure if we can actually force everybody to do the same certificate management approach. Sounds like
No, no. What I'm so Xing, I was thinking
Mhm.
about, like, if there was a component that was like the snapshot controller component, where
Mhm.
it's like there's just one of them, and it's the
Okay.
responsibility of the cluster admin to install it,
Oh,
and then storage vendors just assume that it's there, right? That you don't
okay.
the storage vendors aren't shipping their own copies of snapshot controller because it's part of the cluster. Like if
Mm-hmm.
there was a component that was common that was like that just had the responsibility of being the API endpoint that everybody talked to, and then
Okay.
the individual CSI drivers were sitting behind that in a way where they didn't have to worry about any of this. Uh, then we could have like one common piece, and when we could document, okay, for the one common piece, this is how you install the search, this is how you manage it, and if you're a storage vendor, you don't care because it's taken care of for you. I'm worried we end up in a world where the storage vendor does care, um, and there's an opportunity for them to do it differently than everybody else.
Mm. I guess then the question is, what is this best approach, or what will be the recommended way from us? I guess that's the
Yeah, I'm not close enough to the CVT work. I don't remember exactly what the architecture diagram looks like and what all the pieces are and what talks to
Mhm.
what. I'd have to take a look at that and try to think about where there's a piece that we could
Mhm.
make
Like,
common.
can we say I don't know if we can say everybody has to use Cert Manager because then you have to deploy that, right?
We don't want to prescribe anything.
Mhm.
You see,
I mean,
at the very lowest level, right? We have to restart the service to get the new certificates, right? So the question is, does the sidecar do the sensing and restart on its own, or does an external entity do it? And so we could have, for example, an option flag in the sidecar to say monitor and restart, or we could have, we could change behavior that way, but not force it let the CSI driver, if they wanted to do their own whatever.
But if they have this CDT sidecar, they have to restart this one in order to get the cert working, right? Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's
well, the question is, do we do anything in our process, in the sidecar process, to restart ourselves?
so normally like in the
It
beginning.
would be better to avoid the restart altogether. I mean, if there's a way that you could just reload the certificate when it
Yeah,
becomes available and
Yeah,
start using it.
we have to
yeah.
research this. We
I
don't
think the
really know
cert
that.
watcher does exactly that. I think we're sorted on that front. Like I pasted the link for the cert watcher and the external snapshot or implementation of it. So I think
Does it try to read it without restarting?
yeah, I think
Okay.
so from what I
Yeah,
gathered.
that,
Like
that's
the
probably right. I
one,
don't remember. It's been very long since I reviewed that thing. So then that sounds right, right? If you don't have to restart, then that'll be good.
Mm.
I think it's just reading this user directory, right? Kind of reading from it or something because it's mounted there. But
yeah, and
I don't
TLS package
know.
itself has a
Uh-huh.
function.
So
So
if
Production,
yeah,
it can just give the gRPC server a new certificate. I mean, basically the TLS whatever subsystem.
yeah, so TLS itself has like it gives you a way to like implement a function to get the certificate.
I see. I see. Oh, I see. Okay, then the PR says get certificate from TLS config. Okay, yeah. Well, we should look into this then. Yeah, we will take a look. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess Ben was talking about like the creation of the certificate
Yeah, yeah.
itself.
That's that whole the certificate management part. I don't know whether it's in our scope at all.
No, it shouldn't be.
Mm.
I don't like the idea of like storage vendors owning any part of this either. I think we should provide a way to make it possible for the deployer to just do one thing that works everywhere. But it's been a while since I looked at the architecture diagram, and so nothing is popping to mind as far as what that might be. So don't take my advice too seriously.
yeah, so maybe just explore this thing we did for snapshotter and see maybe this would work. At least we use that in snapshotter, the validation webhook before, right? That's been there for quite some time.
Yeah, but for that one, it's not like there's no responsibility on the CSI, the storage vendor, right? It's just the deployer could install the webhook, and then it becomes
Mm,
the deployer's responsibility to keep the webhook with a
right.
valid certificate. And so
Right.
like that model would be great because then storage vendors don't have to deal with it. I feel like if there's a piece that the storage vendor is responsible for, and then we try to say, hey, do it however you want, we're going to end up with 12 different ways of doing it, and it'll be a mess.
Yeah, true. But I guess like certificate and private key, like it's the standard thing, right? Like,
Yeah. The actual mechanics of generating a certificate and installing it, there's a million ways to do it, and it's assumed that people will figure that out. It's the operational, making it happen, the responsibility of like making sure it doesn't like get out of date, right? Because that's just the passage of time will cause certificates to expire, and if no one's paying attention and there's no process in place, it'll just happen. And so that's the thing we got to worry about is like whose job is it to watch the clock and when the alarm goes off to actually do something to make a new certificate.
Yeah. So I think we should invest on our side, we should investigate and integrate with CertWatcher because it's part of the runtime and use that to configure the TLS so that if it detects the change, it will do the right thing.
yeah. Yeah, but the current model of like the sidecar, like sidecar is deployed by the CSI drive, or like the storage vendor. So like we don't have any control over the deployment, and there's not much
No, we
opinion
don't.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess for now the cert manager lies with the user, but we can see
So,
like going
Rakshit,
forward.
since you are in the deployment side of it, y'all configure the sidecar with the path to the certificate file, correct? Which is mounted from a secret, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all are in control of the path. So the sidecar just needs to monitor the path and restart based on that.
Yes.
Hmm.
So like that is it's like a fixed thing, right? In the sidecar, we've specified where the certificate should be.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
if we put
technology.
the cert watcher in, that means the server can pick up the new cert without restarting the whole sidecar.
Yeah.
We'll have to test that out as part of E2E actually then.
Yeah. We'll do it. But yeah, since it's from controller runtime, it should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Okay. So file an issue, Rakshit, so we can track it.
Yeah, sure. Gather content and file. Okay. I think like we can go to the next topic regarding the E2E.
Let's see, you added this one. This one will need some reviews, or are we? Oh, this is a draft. Not yet. Okay.
I
Yeah,
think like Praveen needed some help. Yeah, Praveen, you can take over.
there's one more PR that's up, and um, I needed review. Like, so this is kind of like first contribution to Kubernetes C2E. So I'm not very sure about like where the things like different reports I need to contribute. But I followed few other PRs like volume group snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
So so accordingly I did. So there's the actual E2 EPR. There's I think that is up from March. I think it's yeah. I've added in the description.
Oh,
So
this one.
yeah, that. So yeah, this is the actual E2E. So yeah, I need the review, the initial review, so that I can uh get in progress. Um, so
Okay. So I think that you need to fix all of this, right? Because otherwise, this one looks like it's work in progress. It's
yeah,
complete.
yeah, a few are like kind of like linter errors that
Okay.
I'll fix it. But yeah, uh, is this the only place where I have to kind of write the E2E, or are there different repos where I need to kind of like link? Uh,
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
not really sure.
So I guess there was maybe a few places. I mean, I I have to check see where things are. So this is yeah, this is one place, and then there may be other places. I need to take a look and see. But I think for this right for us to um, merge this, we will have to see some results, even if it's just manually you trigger it, right? Um, so we need to we may need to get the testing program merged first, so we can trigger this. So how did you run this one? Did you run this manually? How did you test this yourself?
I tested on my local machine.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, not very sure like how do I uh run like kind of, is there any like kind of any git bot where I can issue some command and run it, or
I think right now you won't be able to, right? You need to have this in the pipeline, otherwise you run it, it's not, it's still your local, right? So I
Mm.
think so Carl, we have not added anything yet, right? I kind of lost track. Somehow thought we added some tests, no? Have we added any tests yet? Is this the first one?
Yeah, this is the first one.
Oh, okay.
So
But we have on the repo itself, external snapshot metadata sidecar, we have a GitHub action running
Okay.
that tests it with the tool.
Okay.
So we do have
Oh, you
end-to-end
don't.
testing.
Okay. Yeah. So you first just take a look. Did you said you look at the test for voting groups? Yeah, that's a good one to just look at that PR and see. Normally you will be able to figure out like where things are added, basically. I think we do need to probably get the testing for one merged for you to actually try this. So yes, I also need to take a look of what we did for the group snapshot and see. Do you need to install any CRDs, right? You do
yeah,
that. You need to that
yeah.
also need to be done. I think it's
So yeah,
in the testing for probably there over there. You need to do something, right?
all those kind of setups, I've done it in a script. So I'll kind of install the required CRDs and the other resources. Um, but
Oh,
yeah, as you said, I
the
think
other
yeah,
thing
the
is does this one does the so in Kubernetes there is dependency on the CSI. Do we have the latest that we need um for the CBT? Uh, does anyone know? Uh, Carl Prasad. So like Kubernetes KK has the dependency, right? I think this test we probably will need to update the Kubernetes. Maybe we already update. I do not remember. Like in KK, there is a dependency on CSI spec. Do we have this? I guess. Okay, let's see. What is the CSI dependency? Um, okay. 1.9. Which is the version where we added the SPT and CSI?
1.10,
Huh?
110, 1.10, I think.
Okay, I think we need to update this one to the latest because otherwise how you run the test, I think you need to that. Yeah. So I think that's something we need to, as a separate PR, we need to update Kubernetes dependencies to the CSI spec, to the latest. We probably also have some newer features added after CBT. So just get the latest released CBT. Okay, so we need to update it CSI spec to latest in KK. Yeah, so we need that, and then so yeah, also need to take a look and see what else are needed.
KK is Kubernetes slash
Yeah,
something.
KK, Kubernetes. That's okay. That's this one.
take that out.
Yeah, that's so slow. Hmm. All right. Okay. Right.
Wow, I did not know there was so many dependencies spread all over the place.
I know it's like all over the place. Sometimes it's because I also even if I've done it, that I will forget about it after some time. There's so many places you need to change. Okay, so I'll see. I don't know if this need other places or like so I'll have to take a look of the the working group example and see if there are other places we need to change. Okay. But I think at least you should get the linters, whatever fixed, right? Otherwise there are so many errors, and that looks like the the PI is not ready for review. Okay. So okay, so that's this one. Um, Anything else for the E2 test? Good. Okay. Okay, so and then this one, I think we talked this one last time. I'm not sure if Carl has given more thought. So,
You were going to get back with some data for
oh,
us.
okay. So I think, so I think we can add it either. So this one I have not decided which one, but I think either add it as part of the source, the snapshot, as part of that handle. I think that length should be sufficient, or as an annotation on the content. I'm not sure because this one, that means we have to make changes to many places that references. So I think maybe it's safer to just add an annotation on the content. Let's say just assume we have this one sorted out. What about the rest of the things? So let's say we said we make that field it can either be a tracking ID or snapshot ID. We just describe it, explain or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Ben brought up the point that this is very, very much a vendor-specific issue, right? So can
Yeah.
we, and since the format of the ID is vendor-specific anyway, is there any way the format of the ID can be, well, again, you don't want the sidecar to fail because the volume snapshot object has disappeared, correct? That is the key factor here.
Right. So yeah, but
I had notes from last time. What did we talk about?
I think I think we have talked about I think you showed, let's see, we're not here. Where is the
So if I can quote Ben, he said, if it is fundamentally non-portable, why not go to VMware directly? Something like that, he says, right, Ben?
It, yeah, yeah. I was going to say um, we shouldn't we shouldn't build a, a standard API that only has one implementation. Like
Right.
we should, it has to work for multiple. And if people just want to use the VMware implementation, like it sounds like there's already an API that you could interact with directly. You
Yeah.
don't need us to add a layer on top of it.
Sure.
Um,
Agreed. Yeah, Xing, so I think last time you said you'd come back with the format of the CBT ID and how the vendor and how the backup vendor would get this ID, assuming we had to add something special, right? Where would
uh
we try to unwind, like how would the backup vendor even get this data to provide it
oh,
to
so
this?
that's what I was talking about here, right? So we could add that on the volume group sorry, not volume snapshot content, right? So volume snapshot content. So it can be like the source, there is the snapshot ID, snapshot handle in the volume snapshot content, right? So that right now has we have the volume ID plus snapshot ID. So we can add a tracking ID. That's potentially one place. Or we can add it on the content as annotation or something. I don't know which one is better, but so there should be a way of getting it.
Yeah, and we have to make sure that, uh, again, as Ben said, it's vendor specific, so we have to kind of generalize it in case others have it. And the snapshot and the sidecar has to decide, has to have a different field so it won't go and fetch the object. It has to fetch at least one object far back. So, that's clearly the first snapshot has to be there. But the older
uh,
snapshot need not
where
be
did
there.
we, oh, that's a gRPC. Sorry, I was looking for here. It's gRPC, right? It's on the gRPC client.
The gRPCs.
It's not here, right? Not client.
Well, it's on the Kubernetes side, yeah.
It's in here. Where's the gRPC
If you,
sidecar?
it's internal, go to internal, and it's
Oh, it's
all
okay
the stuff is in
here.
services. Yeah.
Okay. Snapshot this here.
Well, yeah. So if you look, follow it from this is pretty low level. If you follow it from the entry point at the RPC layer, just one, if you
Mm-hmm.
go up one file and you get to pick the gRPC, and pick the get metadata delta file.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is the one that has two objects, right? So
Right, right. Okay.
starts off here and validates, authenticate, authorize. So one of these functions is validate is probably going and looking and fetching the site, the
This one?
Yeah, it's probably down in the bottom of the file. Yeah.
Okay. Get,
Yeah. So here's get base snapshot names. You can see 102, right? It's
okay. So this is okay. So this is getting the base. Okay. Getting the base and getting a target. You're trying to get the name.
this is validating. Maybe somewhere out over here, it's actually getting the objects and converting it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they'll have to do something special to say,
Mm-hmm.
that the target is either or the base or target. One of the two is optional if we have to do that. So anyway, so we need some data though on how the backup vendor would even fetch this information and why would they do it in a non-portable way, in a portable way, for example.
Right. So let's say if the content has this annotation saying, hey, this is the tracking ID, then you just grab that thing.
Well, the vendor would do that, but then the point is they want to release the content, right? Delete the
Right.
so the point is the sidecar is going to be looking for loading those objects. So we have to stop it from loading the objects if we're providing it with some information. So
Okay, so you actually have to save it somewhere.
yeah, and provide an alternative way to
Mhm.
provide this information to us. So I mean, right now nothing will break for VMware if we have two snapshots around, correct? It's just that you don't want to have them over time.
Right, right. Yeah, it's just like the performance penalty and all of that. Sorry, there's some background
Yeah.
where someone's listening to radio or something.
It's not my
Okay.
bad.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So it's like if we, let's say if we have it, let's say if we have it on the content as some, okay, just the annotation then, but okay, but it still has to have some place to hold it. It does not really, I mean, with the content, that if it is deleted, then but I thought you said something you can save it somewhere. I remember I thought you said something about that.
Well, if we
What do you
if we
mean?
want to introduce some notion of like alternative object to the
Mm-hmm.
base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it could be just a simple CR of some sort if we wanted to
Oh,
support.
just to say, okay, then if it's there, then we just save it there, over there.
Yeah, save it
Rather
there, and
than,
so we'd still do our RBAC, but on that object, not on something else.
mm, yeah, it's getting ugly.
It's getting ugly very fast. Yes.
Save. Okay, so we need to save it somewhere. Mm, all right, yeah. Okay. So, so you are not aware that anybody else has something like this. This is just VMware has this. You don't know anybody else has this kind of implementation, right?
No, I'm not aware.
Okay. Yeah, this is okay. All right, so we can come back to this one later. All right, we can, yeah, okay, we can think about this one and come back later. There's this thing, I mean, even if we put it in here, we still need to kind of save it in someplace else. So it's not like this is sufficient, right? It's not sufficient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else about CBT? Okay, if not, then moving on to the next. I still need to send out the email. Keep delaying. Okay, I will send that out. So going back to this, um, okay, we talked about this one last time. Um, I think last time I think we kind of stopped here. We are saying, hey, if this is a group concept, then how do we add and remove volumes, right? So Ben, you were asking that one. So I thought about this one. Um, so that means we'll need to have an action. Ben, okay, I don't know if you're, I just want to make sure that you are actually.
Yeah. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we need to have an action. So this is like, let's say everything is already established, right? So we have an action to pause it, then kind of stop the relationship. And then we update the mapping by either adding or removing, and then we say reconfigure. So action. So basically,
I'm less concerned with like the mechanics of how one would
okay.
add and
Mm-hmm.
remove, and more concerned with like, do
Mm-hmm.
we mandate that all drivers must support it?
Oh, you're saying
It,
support all drivers
it
for the adding, or you think this is could be a problem for drivers
why
adding and
it,
removing?
Well, and there's a difference between adding a brand new volume versus adding a volume that
Oh,
already
right. Yes,
exists,
yes, yes. That
right? So
I
like
exactly had
I
that.
like
Yeah.
all of those subtleties. Like my fear is that one vendor will say yes, I can add existing volumes to my group, and another vendor will say no, you only new volumes can get added to the group, and then like you'll have these two different implementations that won't work the same, and we'll have to define you know how they work differently, and like that's where it gets ugly in my mind, is
Some
that
drivers have
that
problems.
like
I
is
think
that
supporting new one seems to be usually fine. So it seems
yeah,
that
I'm just saying, like, we have to be precise about
drivers can
what drivers
support,
must support, and
right?
say like everyone needs to be able to add new volumes, and like and we are not supporting adding existing volumes to a group, and just like be crystal clear about what's in and what's out, and then write down how you do it, and that I think will make it easier. I just my experience is that there's so many subtle differences about
Yeah.
what different vendors can support, that like you'll end up not even being able to agree that adding volumes to a group is a valid thing, or that it can be universally supported. And if we end up in a world where it's like optional, then it's useless, right? Because then people can't depend on it, and they can't build workflows around it, and it's not good.
Um, that's not necessarily right because, as I said, all this everything in CSI is almost optional, right? Other than mount, everything else is optional. Even create is optional, right?
Uh,
Create is not required. That one is just kind of surprised me. But
it, it,
if create is
yes,
optional, then why we cannot add existing one?
but crucially, like when a feature is supported by a driver, like the way you consume it is the same. So like if a driver supports snapshots, they can't have like different ways of doing snapshots. It's like snapshots, what they mean is you can take them at a point in time, and then you can clone them, and either you support that or you don't, right? And so like I feel like replication is going to have to mean like this set of APIs works, and if you can implement it, great, and if you can't implement it, just don't implement the replication feature at all. We can't have like replication with different flavors, because then people won't use it, right? I mean, obviously, we can't mandate everyone supports replication, but we can say if you support replication,
Right.
it must be this way. And my opinion as a representative of the Kubernetes community is we should, like, when we define what that way is, we should prioritize what the end users want more than what the storage vendors can provide. Because we want to provide something that's actually useful to the end users. Um, and
Right.
we don't
So
want
if we
to.
are, yeah. I see your point. Yeah, I had not. I know this one. We actually probably talked about this one initially when I was working on the voting group. Uh, so I you just think about like typical case. You you probably like have let's say you have something already there. Now you said, hey, um, What is the so you're okay? Yeah, some system cannot add
I,
existing one. So you're
I,
saying we
I,
just we can only support one of this. That's what you mean?
yeah, I'm saying that we need to have an opinion as an
Right.
API designer,
What
like
is
it
okay?
works like
What
this,
is
and
more
then
more
everyone has
likely?
to do it that way.
What is more likely the case? Existing. It sounds like existing one should be more. That's probably more
Uh,
likely the case. You have your application. You want to protect it. Um, now you want to
I
you
would
want to
think
add
that people
more.
would have an intent to create create a volume that was protected from the beginning. So they would know before they set up their application that they intend for the application to have a replication relationship that protects it from failures. And so they would
So,
upfront say, I
but
am creating a PVC that is a replicated PVC, and it needs to be, replicated across two zones or across two regions or however you define your topologies. And like, please figure that out for me, system, and then let me manage it.
so if you remember what when we talked about this last time, right? Like how do you the replication steps? So basically, this was the steps that we went over last time. So people have some applications running, they want to protect it. I think that should, actually that's like the most likely case. They already have something there they want to protect it.
You think
So
they would start off with an unprotected application and then on day
right,
two, they would
yes,
realize they
right,
want protection
yeah,
and they would
because
add it?
yeah, because a lot of times, those are they already have their applications running now. They want to add this additional protection replication, right? So it's not like something they they already
Yeah,
have because Kubernetes does not even have this, right? So if you just think about it, a lot of people already have their application running. We never have
sure.
replication support. So I think this more likely case would be they have something already. Now they
I mean,
just
so certainly in
Mhm.
the first release where this is available, yes, there'll be a lot of people that have unreplicated things that what they want to become replicated. But I think if you fast forward like a couple of years, and this is just a feature that's widely supported, what
Mhm.
will be more common at that time? Will people be starting off with unreplicated things and deciding they want to replicate them? I mean,
That
we should optimize for the stable state, not the not
well
making it really easy to on ramp
then
into the future.
you kind of excluded a lot of a large number of applications, right? I think most likely case would
No,
be
no, no. I'm saying optimize for the stable state, not make it impossible to have an on ramp. We can figure out the on ramp, but optimize for like what you think people will usually be doing,
so
and then
you're
say
okay
yes.
for the
Obviously, there'll be people that have unreplicated things, and you got to figure out can we get them into the can we get them into the ecosystem so they can take advantage of the feature. I don't know. I haven't thought through
Mhm.
all the
Yeah, I know
different
we probably need to think
phases.
about this more. I know this is just have very big
Yeah,
implications,
and
right? So,
and I was going to apologize that I haven't reviewed your doc yet. I've been very busy
oh no, no problem,
doing
no problem. This
doing
is
other things,
it's kind of
but
yeah. I
uh,
think it's kind of we are kind of kind of like this is like working doc, right? So we last time we talked about this one, right? So and then so I was thinking about how to add and remove. I think last time we kind of running out of time.
yeah,
Right. I
well,
think this is kind of we probably just need to list all the cases and then need to see what is. I'm
yeah,
also I'm more worried that if you just have this one thing supported, then it's not very useful. Then people will just still have their own special implementations. Then what's the point of even having this, right? So that's I'm also worried about that. So
I mean, I don't think that we can eliminate the vendors doing proprietary things. The vendors are
right,
going to
we
do
cannot, but
proprietary
that's
things no
still
matter what.
I just think still should try to make it more flexible, not like make it too limited, right? I just need to look at all the cases. I guess I'll just
What in my mind, the best outcome is we design an amazing API and have at least a couple good implementations of it, and people start using it and they like it so much that it causes storage vendors to change their implementation to actually work like the standard, right? And then everyone starts implementing uh, replication in a way that conforms to the standard, and the
but
standard is designed in a way that end users actually like, right? That's the best outcome, is that like we drive progress in the industry by making this easier and more consistent, within the Kubernetes ecosystem. But now that's very, very hard to do, I admit. Having been in the storage industry for a long time, I
Yeah,
know that, every Windows does their own thing.
yeah,
But I don't think that we should I don't think that we should design an API that just does what all the different storage vendors do and then hope the end users will accept it. Because you'll end up with, people will end up taking in bits and pieces that they like and consuming it in a way that's not portable, and you won't really have improved the state of affairs for Kubernetes users in general, I don't think. Um, I'm just I'm very nervous about, building an API that end users won't want to use, right?
yeah. Of course, we want more people to use it. That's of course.
And not just the users of like one storage vendor, but like the users of the major clouds, for example. Like it would be great if we could get like Amazon and Google and Microsoft, and their Kubernetes implementations and their CSI drivers to actually like implement whatever standard we come up with eventually.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I think sounds like we actually should actually maybe collect more use cases and come back to this one because right now, right, see, the thing is, it's not like it's I mean, we actually kind of discussed this before, right? When I was working on the working group, kind of, although at that time we were focusing on group snapshots, but kind of talked about replication a little bit already. I think, but this is like a big thing. We know this exists. We know there's differences. And I also do not think we can actually change that because the storage is built that way, right? For decades. I don't think we can actually change them. So,
Uh, I mean, individual implementations might be hard to change, especially if there's some fundamental assumptions, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. And new implementations are coming up all the time. So I think we should look at like what's out there and what's actually the best user experience, and then say, hey, we actually want it to work this way. And if that excludes some storage vendors, then you know that may be an acceptable price if the result is that everyone else has a better experience, right? And then those storage vendors can make the choice to improve their implementation if it's too restricted to do whatever the standard says it needs to do. And you're right, maybe they won't do it because that's expensive, but I don't know. I find that acceptable. If you have a standard that everyone else actually really likes, then there are a bunch of good implementations of it. If no one implements it, then it's a failure.
right, that's the thing, right? So, okay, so I think we probably just need to because see that's how we had actually design other features, right? Like the voting attributes class and things like that, right? We actually collected some feedback from various vendors. We actually have like a page. Everybody you write down, hey, what do you support? What do you not support, right? And
Yeah,
then we
yeah.
come up with something that's best, right? So the voting attributes class, but that I like that, but the other one is actually very, very flexible, right? Um, because in the beginning it was something else, right? And then eventually we decided to come up with a design that is really, really, really flexible. Um, so, um, okay, so I think it's okay. And
Oh,
we're
I'm getting
also
kicked
kind of
out of my
almost running.
room.
Yeah, we're almost running out of time. That's okay. So I think I probably will just want to start with that just to see, what people can support now and what we want to do, right? Kind of step back, right? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.